On this episode, we talk about the density of trees in bioretention, and I realised that we might need even more than even I previously thought. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ideanthro. And today, we're coming to you from beautiful Townsville in North Queensland in Australia. Now, I've been in Townsville for a couple of days just recently, and while I was here, I was fortunate enough to catch up with a couple of guys from Townsville City Council, Jason Lang and Simon Igloy, who I've known for a number of years, but they were kind enough to come out on site with me on Friday and look around some stormwater treatment systems and just, we're kind of chewing the fat about, different stuff that's going on, different things we're observing, how to improve practice, and so on and so forth. And out of that conversation, lots of good things talked about, but I've had a few things running over in my mind, and one thing in particular that I wanted to kind of share with you on video today. And that's some thoughts around trees in bioretention systems and the density of trees. So anyone who knows me will know that I am a big fan of when you have a bioretention basin to making sure you're getting some trees in there, to get some shade involved, get some leaf litter dropping to the ground, suppress weeds, make it a more complete ecosystem, and I think a more resilient asset. But that wasn't always the case. I'm going to spin the camera around so that you can see this bioretention system that we're at today. That wasn't always the case. In the early days of guidance in Queensland, the guidance all said don't put trees in bioretention. And that was because of concerns about them getting their roots down into the underdrains at the bottom and blocking those underdrains up. Then some work was done about 5 years ago, showed that seems to be less of a risk than we thought, so the guidance was altered to allow trees in bioretention systems. And when that was done, Healthy Waterways, not long afterwards, updated their bioretention technical design guidelines, which is the preeminent bioretention design resource in Queensland. And it was updated to allow trees in the bioretention systems, and it had a recommended planting density in it. And I didn't really think a lot of, I don't remember thinking really detailed about that planting density at the time. And here's the thing, clearly I put some thought into it. I was the producer on that document. But now that I look back on this, I'm like, I wonder whether that density that we're recommending isn't quite dense enough. So I wanted to share some thoughts with you about density of trees in bioretention systems. So for me, trees in bioretention is all about getting that shade, getting that leaf drop, and preventing weeds getting in. And for that to happen, you need a really continuous canopy. And so I was out at this system the other day with Jason and Simon, and looking around at this particular basin, looking at the young trees that are in it, so they're by no means mature, but the young trees that are in it, and looking at the density that they're in, and then thinking back to some of the older bioretention systems that really inspire me with this low maintenance approach. The older systems that are really resilient, doing really well, being really resilient to weeds, and I think they have a way higher planting density in them. So I started doing a few sums in my head about this particular basin. So let me show it to you in whole. So the stormwater comes in just over there, and it's kind of a horseshoe shape. So we come around here, the outlet pit's over there, but then it narrows up and there's actually this kind of back end to the system, right round, we'll get to it eventually, right round over here. And I'm thinking that maybe the filter media in this system might be, in the 300 to 400 square meters range, 400 at most. I'm gonna run with 300 today just because it makes my little back of the envelope calcs here a little bit more conservative. And so I came down, I was looking at the planting density, and I was like, wow, that looks a little bit sparse. I would, compared to say Hoyland Street and some of these other systems that have got really good resilience to weeds, I'd be expecting a few more trees in here. And so, okay, let's say it's 300 square meters, let's count the trees. Oh, there's 30 young melaleucas in here. 31 or 2 if you include the couple that are coming up from seed as well. But like 30 trees in here, right? And I was like, okay, 1 every 10 square meters. Fair enough. What does the bioretention technical design guideline say? Oh, it says that when you're putting trees in bioretention systems, you should put 1 tree per, and it's got a range here. So it's not a specific, like 1 tree every, there's a range depending on the situation that you're using them in. 1 tree per every 20 to 100 square meters. So that's one tree anywhere between every 20 to 100 square meters of filter media. So if that was the case that was being applied here, let's say the system's 300 square meters, we'd be looking at anywhere between 15, well, at the high end, 15 trees, and at the low end, 3. And so I was thinking to myself, oh, wow, hang on. Here, we've got a little bit of a problem. I'll spin this camera back around now, since you had a good look at that basin. I thought to myself, wow, okay, I'm looking at this basin, which has got 30 trees in it, one every 10 square meters, and that's twice as dense as the most dense recommendation that the Bioretention Technical Design Guidelines has in it. I think we've got a little bit of a problem. By the way, just for context into the future, because this video is on the internet and the internet appears to last forever, it's currently 2016, and the version of the Bioretention Technical Design Guideline that I'm talking about is the one published in October 2014. So you never know, 12 months down the track, maybe this will have been updated, or the guideline might have been updated and this video might be redundant. But just so you got some context of timing here. So I'm thinking our current guidance, you know, it was a good step in the right direction. We've gone from no trees at all to, yeah, let's put trees in there with a given density recommended. And now I'm thinking, maybe the next step here is we actually need to be recommending even denser planting. Because if you think about it, if the goal of the trees, from my point of view anyway, is to prevent weeds coming in, you need a continuous canopy, a really good shady, complete coverage. And if you can imagine, maybe at maturity, this particular system, decided to spin this back around again, this particular system might get enough canopy in it to completely cover and to shade some weeds out. That's a little bit questionable, but it might get enough canopy there. But this is already still twice as dense as the guideline recommends. Half this density, it's got no chance of getting a complete canopy cover on here. So I'm thinking that we need to increase that density in the guideline. The other, something that's just popped into my head right now that I'm also going to share in this video, that's a little bit related to this, is trees and bioretention and making sure that we're picking up the batters as well. So the thing that strikes me here is the aim of putting trees in bioretention from a low maintenance point of view is to get that complete canopy. And we're trying to get a fair bit of shade throughout all parts of the day, and then this assumption would be that you would be making sure that the species underneath in the understory was shade tolerant. So the point here is that we want to get a lot of shade in there throughout all times of day. And for that, we have to take into consideration the angle of the sun, which, because it's pretty late afternoon at the moment, is kicking around low in the sky over there. And so I can imagine a situation where even if this particular basin at the moment had, I mean, it's got a moderately okay density of trees in it. Let's say it had even a few more trees in it and they were at maturity, so we had a canopy up. You could still end up with quite a lot of sunlight in certain parts of this basin because we don't really have any trees on the batters. We've got a few, you know, on this kind of spine here, a couple. And, you know, there's some happening up in the distance over there, and there's definitely some on this side where there's some, you know, much older bushland over there, and not really much over in this particular direction here. And it got me thinking, even if we had really good plant density in the middle of this bioretention system, you'd still end up with a lot of sun getting in at the, well, particularly the end of the day. Less so in the beginning of the day, because we've got this nice canopy over there that's going to give a fair bit of shade here until kind of mid-morning or so. But I'm thinking that we also, when we're talking trees in bioretention, we need to be cognizant of the fact that we're not just talking about trees in the filter media, we're also talking about getting some trees up on the batters, which, you know, there's been an attempt to do that here, don't get me wrong, but getting some trees up on the batters to give a bit of protection from the sunlight during the morning and the afternoon. Okay, let's spin this back around for good now. So, this is just my current thoughts about trees in bioretention, density of planting, location of planting. I have a funny feeling that my thoughts will continue to evolve in this space, like everything else that's happening. Stormwater treatment, stormwater management is an evolving discipline, And we continue to learn the more time we spend out and about looking at stuff, exploring, trialing different things out. And that was one of the reasons why on Friday I was so keen to catch up with Jason and Simon from Townsville, because they're out here trying stuff, fiddling around with things, you know, trying to make assets work better, trying different ideas. They've got a heap of cool stuff going on. And so it's by, you know, it's all well and good. I mean, this comes back to the philosophy of Ideanthro, right? So I love what Jason and Simon are doing more broadly throughout Townsville and water quality. And that's really cool because they're developing lots of good ideas, new thoughts, new things to try. And the philosophy of Ideanthro is, well, let's share that stuff, even if it's in development, even if it's not quite, you know, on the money yet. Let's share that stuff so other people can try it and other people can build on it. And so then when someone else tries a slightly different idea, then, you know, that can be shared back and forth, and it speeds up the rate by which our industry evolves and develops, and new ideas come to that point where they're really working. So I'm really grateful to Simon and Jason for the chat the other day, but I'm going to leave it there. If you want to find out more about what it is that we do at Ideanthro, you can find us online at ideanthro.com or at facebook.com/Ideanthro. And if you have a question you'd like us to answer, by all means hit us up and we will do our best. Cool. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.